Travelers are starting to feel the impact of the government shutdown now in its third week as airline flight delays and cancellations are starting to tick up. Joining us now for the latest, former New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, now CEO of Airlines for America, a trade group representing major airlines like American, Delta, United, and others. Thanks for joining us.
Only the best airlines. That's what we represent.
Those are some top tier. And we've had so many conversations on this set about it. I've always loved the airline. Try living without the airlines. Try passing 1,000 semis with your white knuckles when you're trying to head down.
Complain about them.
And people complain about it, but look at the quality of the product, right? It's more affordable than ever before. TSA lines take about 5 minutes to get through.
But the TSA,
airports are like mall shopping
that
malls
leads
now.
us into the government shutdown discussion. That worries me. Is that what caused these clowns to finally come to an agreement? Last time, was it the TSA?
That's exactly what it was. In 2019, you had this huge traffic jam on, I think it was January 25th, 2019, and all of a sudden everyone in Congress said, okay, this is a strategic national asset that we've brought into a screeching halt. I don't think that's what's going to happen this time. So there's a few mitigating factors. First, President Trump, Secretary Duffy, the FAA, they're mitigating a lot of this. So there are some slowdowns.
Mitigating meaning what, though?
So when Burbank shut down, they had San Diego landing planes in Burbank. When Nashville had a problem, they had Memphis coming in.
They're already stretched pretty thin.
And they're already stretched very, very thin. I got to say, when the president and Secretary Duffy came out and said, look, if you're on sick time, we don't know if you're going to get paid. So those TSA workers that are just working the air traffic controllers, they're working their butts off with no pay right now. Now,
insane.
The ones that might be calling out, they're not supporting the team. And I think what the president said was, look, you got to get in there. You got to do your job, or you might not get paid.
How about you just figure out a way to open the government and pay these people? That is ridiculous.
And what I think is going to happen, what folks aren't looking at is SNAP benefits. This is actually going to be a health care thing in the states. States, as a former governor, I can tell you a state will hold about 30 to 40 days of federal funding for SNAP benefits, for food insecurity. Those are going to start running out starting next week, late the week after. That's going to be the triggering effect. So I think the federal government's doing a great job mitigating what really caused the crisis 6 years ago. What you're going to see in the states is going to drive folks back, whether it's on the Republican side or the Senate side, the Democrat side. They'll have to figure that out. But I think the airlines are doing a phenomenal job, and air traffic control is doing a phenomenal job not falling into the trap of 6 years ago. So, and if I know I'm from the airline, so obviously I'm biased, but I'm also a Republican governor, which means I'm usually right. If I were betting big, if I was investing, I would be investing in the airlines. They're putting, $12 billion already in air traffic control reform, maybe another 20 to 30 billion that's going to follow that. So they're going to modernize this amazing system. Airlines are making money, making profit, even regardless of the bad job that previous administrations have done building that infrastructure. When you add that new modernization in infrastructure, the sky's the limit. I've silenced Joe.
You didn't silence me. No, you didn't silence me. You watched the show. Sometimes I don't know if I want to take it somewhere, but I will. So we have had a conversation about Sean Duffy, and I'm just because it's important for you. It's important when we look at it's important when we look at everything airline related that I think maybe we get a decent picture of this guy. And I didn't know some of the stuff we talked about with him. He's not just a TV.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah. Secretary Duffy.
He was in here last week when you were out.
Yeah. I didn't realize that, but we had a discussion. He went up a firefighter's pole 60 feet and won the.
He's one of the greatest lumberjacks of all time. Yes, he literally is the handsome lumberjack. My wife reminds me of this all the time. But he's amazingly skilled.
A veteran, too.
He's amazing. The FAA administrator, right? He's not some political hack. He ran Republic Airlines. He's been in the trenches. He's a CEO. He's the guy. Because
you know what the other side, what the opposing side says about Sean Duffy, and they're pining for the days of Pete Buttigieg.
Nobody is pining for the days of Pete Buttigieg. I don't care what political party you're from. If you're in the world of airlines and transportation, nobody wants that administration back. It was nothing but punitive, massive regulations, take 10% of the airlines out of the sky for, DEI and environmental reasons, crushing the industry, completely crippling it. Now you have a president that actually ran an airline, right? They had Trump Airlines, loves the airlines, understands its strategic national asset, and is making the real investments, and have put people in place like Sean and Brian Bedford that say, we're going to get it done. They're putting their reputations on it. That hasn't happened before in a long time in government to say, we're going to go after a $30 billion high-tech modernization infrastructure project, and we promise we're going to get it done. That's real money and real leadership.
What was your approach to Obamacare when you were in New Hampshire? What was your approach?
Tolerated it. I mean, it was the law of the land. We had to find it like every other.
What should we do with it? Because people don't understand.
You got to fix it.
But they don't understand what's happening right now. They don't understand why premium. They think, I don't know. If you get subsidies taken away, they think that you're removing some type of entitlement.
At the core of all this, there's no free market in healthcare, right? Let's start there, right? The government aspect of healthcare is driving all of the massive costs. Right? We talk about the premiums. The premiums are only there because it costs $30,000.
Should the tax payers still be expected, no matter what kind of bills Obamacare runs up, are we just we're expected to eat it?
No, well, we can't eat it. There's no money.
That's what this shutdown is about.
In New Hampshire, nearly 50,000 residents benefit from premium tax credits that can help them afford coverage. They say the granted state.
So what would you suggest? So you understand why people.
How do you fix it?
So two things. We were blessed in New Hampshire because we had the lowest percentage of people on Medicaid. Right, we had the lowest poverty rate in the country. So we were able to find efficiency and manage. Small states have a harder time because they have a smaller population and smaller risk pools. Larger states have a little better time with it because there's just so many people to spread that risk out. So that's why we're such big proponents of being able to buy insurance across state lines, mix your risk pools together, get them a little larger to bring those premiums. That's free market stuff that the guys in Washington don't get.
If you completely lose the federal tax credits, the premium tax credits, what would happen to a state like New Hampshire?
It doesn't mean everyone just goes off of
You're okay with that? It's. Is this a conversation? This is a conversation.
You have to reduce it. You get the private sector involved. You increase the free market competition, which really doesn't exist right now in healthcare. That drives costs down. Why does it cost $30,000 a night to stay in a hospital? I mean, sometimes you really need to stay in the hospital, of course, but those costs are absolutely out of control, right? We used to talk about the $100 Tylenol, but the costs are just so much bigger now. That's at the core of all of it.
It costs $30,000 to stay in a hospital night in California so that they can bill the federal government to get 70% reimbursement so they can cover illegal aliens.
Yeah. Well, I would, look, don't get me started with California. California is a thing unto itself where there's a lot of battles. But look, as the airline guy, you brought up the right point. Is it going to be a traffic jam that gets the government to go? It's not like before. This team in Washington knows what they're doing.
Chris, I didn't say covering them with federal dollars because no, that never happens. But when you can pay for everything else with the federal dollars, you can lose state dollars to cover, which they do.